Alright friends, welcome back to part 2 of our turning our unpopular locomotive into an economic prototype. Well, I can't think of anything better to call it, but I mean, this is basically what we're doing. I mean, we're making an unpopular locomotive into an unpopular locomotive. You know, in the comments section, if you could think of me using a better title, that'd be great.
From Tyco, of course.
Alright friends, welcome back to part 2 of our Tyco Scratch Bash. And as you can see in part 1, we did great in converting the boiler into more boiler and less firebox. I think it looks pretty good. We're going to have to do a little more work here on the bottom just to smooth things out, but it's coming along. Now we got to talk about domes and details. And the neat thing is, I found these domes on eBay, and I love how the guy packages them. I mean, these are boilers. These are actual Tyco boiler domes. So we're doing a lot more Tycoing with the Tyco. A few quick things that I haven't been able to find is the correct spark arrestor for the stack. So I went and got a taller stack. I went and got a pilot that looks close enough to represent number 5's pilot. I got the old Tyco switcher pilot here. So I got a lot of parts so that we can convert this junk into something a little more decent. Then I ran into a little bit of a problem. I thought I had ordered 3 domes, and I didn't. But I have these little test tubes that I was able to buy on Amazon. Hopefully I'll remember to put the link in the description. And I found this Southern Pacific cab from a failed P6 project. This is I believe it's a P6 was a designation for the Mogul. So this one is pretty well DNO, dead nuts on. We just got to do a little modifications here. This will come out perfect. We're not going to worry about that at the moment. We're going to be focusing more on the domes and the dome placement. And I have to reference my pictures. So these domes are correct. I just got to figure out where to place them, and I've got to file down a few itty bitty details on them because it looks like these were smooth. But I'm thinking the way the placement goes, it looks like it'll go like this. So we just got to file these down a little bit smoother. I still got to file this down smoother. I didn't notice that when I put it away and put it on, that this has to be filed down smoother. So what I'm going to be doing with the center dome is I'm going to be using this plastic test tube for the center, and the curves are a little bit lower, so I might have to do a little bit of file and fit here. I have to get rid of the Tyco stack so that I can use this celly part to mount on here. Then we're going to have to add a little bit of weight in here, mount this onto the drive system, modify the drive system a little bit, modify the saddle a little bit, because as I said in the last video, we want to make this look a little more squat, lower, give it a more squat appearance, because that's what it looks like on the original engine. So let's go ahead and let's get started on that, and we'll talk to you soon. Now, the nice thing about this project, in a way, is because There's not a lot of photos of V&T number 5 or Nevada Copper Belt number 5 for that matter. And from what I've been seeing from different pictures, I can kind of get away with a lot and still make it authentic. And that's the idea. That is the idea here. And one of the things I have noticed is the domes are basically clean. They don't have any top detail like these Tyco ones. So all I got to do is just sand these down a little bit so I can give it that clean appearance. And then I just mount them in with some MEK. And then what we'll do here with this dome is we'll cut it at a particular height, probably about the same height here. And then we'll just do a little bit of filing down on that, because it does look like the curvature of the dome from the picture is a little bit more flat than curved, sort of like this. So we'll see if we can give it that appearance as well. Now I started out with 80 grit sanding stick. Then I worked down to a 600 grit, and I'm just kind of finishing off with an 800 grit. But okay, our front domes are ready for installation. And the nice thing here about these Tyco domes is they look like they're going to fit without much modification. I'm just going to have to stick a rubber band on here just to hold them down. But before we got to do that, we've got to get rid of the stack. Good old Dremel. Now this is my philosophy on when you're destroying stuff to create. I'll use a Dremel to take down most of it, or a saw. I might use a saw just to cut this off, but I'm going to use a Dremel to take down most of it, and then when I get down close enough, that's when I break out my sanding sticks and I bring it down to a nice level. So we're going to do that. We'll be right back. Sticks. Just one thing to note, especially if you're new at doing this, okay, don't go from something like an 80 to a 3000 right off the bat. There's a reason sanding sticks come in different grades, and I'll tell you, I love using sanding sticks, but bring down your grades. So like start with something thick, then work yourself down. Don't do what I just did, because I just grabbed the 800 absently. But you know, go from like a 600, or go from like an 80 to say a 200, then to a 400. Go in those increments. I can't find my 400, but my 600 seems to be doing well. And if you have to use a Dremel to like hog down parts, do it lightly. Don't like, you know, shove it in. That's never good. That always turns out to something that isn't preferable. And now, because this stack does have a tree to it, And I didn't notice this before. I've got a little bit of a hole there, so I'm going to cut that. I'm going to cut that out somehow. Now this is a cast pewter part, so therefore we're going to have to use super glue on it. And I think because of the way it pokes through, just to save me some time and headache, I'm going to super glue it from the bottom here. Oh, this thing gives a lot of goop. Alright, looks like we got the right curvature, folks. Now I'm curious, because obviously this test tube's a different composition, how the MEK is going to work. And you've also should notice that I'm actually mounting this before I'm filing off the top to give it a more flatter appearance according to the photo I have. That's because when I put it on, obviously I'm not going to use a rubber band, but I'll use the sander to mount that on, or to set it straight. So let's see if MEK is going to do the trick, or if I'm going to have to use super glue. Wow. Okay, that seemed to have settled real good. So we'll go ahead and we'll file down our dome a little bit. And we'll add the castings, or the flare at the bottom. Now to do the dome flare at the bottom, we're going back to our old friend Plastruck styrene strip. This is 20 by 60. This should work real well. And we're going to do that same MEK process that we did in my Tyco hopper project, which is shown right here, on how to make welds. Except in this case, we're not going to be using the X-Acto knife to make a weld, but we're going to be using the MEK to curve it around. Got half done. Now we're going to be working on the second half. Okay, so for the final verdict here, we're kind of getting our squat look down. I got this dropped down. This has to drop down a little bit more, and I have to take a little bit out here, hopefully not too much, and just bring our saddle down just a little bit more. And for that, I'm going to use my Dremel, but I'm going to change this from the grinding head, which I had to do to grind down this rear tab so that I can grind down the plastic. I don't think y'all need to see that. Alright, well, our system is lowered to where it looks acceptable on the picture. I've had to try and find some other pictures to make this work. So now the next thing is we've got to reposition the cab. We've got to bring the cab up a little bit to about there, I think, with that big old gap. Again, a little bit of sheet styrene goes a long way. I'm not going to use this. I think I've got a thicker setting. And I just want to make sure I've got enough room for when I put our boiler front. I'm going to try and fit in right now, because if you noticed in my one rebuilding video, some of these don't just drop right on in like this one just did. All right, we're looking good. Hey friends, thanks for watching the video. I know you're at the end, but if you like this video, just remember, every 2 weeks I'm going to be bringing out a new video on budget model railroading, the history of Tyco trains, the history of other model railroad companies, and some how-to things that maybe you've never learned before, or you've known and you want to share with your friends but you never knew how. Well, here's the way. All you got to do on this video is like, share, subscribe, and if you want notifications, hit the little bell there, which I still don't know how to do, but we'll figure it out eventually. But until then, hey, we'll see you in the next video, and I am Psycho for Tyco.